We're back on Inside Politics, talking today about the aftermath of the tragic tornadoes across Middle Tennessee, particularly here in Nashville, with two Metro Council members, Councilmember Freddie O'Connell from the Germantown area and some of downtown, and Brandon Taylor from North Nashville and the TSU area. Gentlemen, this was one of these things that just almost overwhelming to some degree. From a city point of view, how are we going to deal with this? The mayor is proposing a capital plan, but he's asked that to come back because city's got some serious losses in terms of schools and other things. Councilman Taylor, are you concerned we're going to be basically robbing Peter to pay Paul, because the city doesn't have a lot of money for this right now with the budget issues?
Yeah, with the capital spending plan that we've seen proposed, we had some areas of concern there. It was lower than we've seen in quite some time.
And now you've got Robert Churchwell in your district, and you're going to have to replace a whole wing.
We have Robert Churchwell. We're going to have to replace an entire wing there on Robert Churchwell, and that's concerning. And one of the big things is in that community, we do have vulnerable families that are there right now already, and so we've removed the children from school, and we're not sure when they're going to get back in. I know they're going to be over at Park Avenue starting next week, but that's going to displace a lot of people in their daily commutes and daily activity.
Councilman O'Connell, I know that you're very happy to see FEMA come in here because it will mean aid. On the other hand, some of us remember back to the floods, some of us remember back to the 1998 tornado, and between the settlements that you were trying to get worked through for FEMA and insurance companies, that didn't always move the process forward.
No, and I'm speaking from the perspective of, MTA, where I was on the board of directors there in 2010 when the flood occurred, and the Nestor Avenue site, which had been the home to most of our fleet, was underwater. It took us years to get those last FEMA checks cut. I mean, I guess I will say some optimism I have is, as I was walking around on Tuesday surveying the damage in Germantown, the Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance had staff on the ground already, surveying, connecting with people. I will say, I think that chain of command of having the mayor in close coordination with the Lee administration at the state, and then already having the federal level engaged through the president. My hope is that means at least the speed is coming. But coming back to one of your earlier questions of, yes, let's get that here as soon as possible, the bigger concern is, let's make sure all of those resources, any of that relief effort, gets to the people in greatest need. Because we've heard, and I think Councilmember Taylor has heard this as well, for anybody who has been through a scenario like this, and you've kind of asked about North Nashville and what has happened in the past, there has been a sense, I've heard from people who just don't fundamentally trust the process to deliver them the aid, right? Like, so that if you gave $1 today to Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee, how does that dollar make it into North Nashville? Same is true for FEMA and TEMA. So we're there, to his point, the community-based effort has been really trying to wrap its arms around people in desperate circumstances. Let
me get you both to respond to this. One of the immediate crises may well be, Councilman Taylor, you mentioned you have a lot of homes totally destroyed. Councilman O'Connell, you mentioned that you've got a lot of large multifamily units that are just gone as well, probably going to have to be condemned. Are we going to have an immediate, maybe not so short-term housing shortage period? Forget affordable housing, just shortage period.
There's a severe, sudden housing crisis happening right now. I mean, we've got hundreds of people across our districts that are displaced as we speak, right? And it's compounded by the people that don't feel safe coming back to their homes because of that sustained power outage. I've heard from multiple members at night. I mean, as soon as the sun goes down right now, our neighborhoods are pitch black, right? It is just, the feeling of safety that you usually have when you see a street light, et cetera, that is all gone. We've been closely coordinating with Hannah Davis and the mayor's office about the housing circumstance, but it's a tough problem right now.
Councilman Taylor, in terms of that darkness and the fact that it's just kind of eerie in a lot of places in both your districts, has there been any problem with looting or other kind of problems? Have we made the good decision not to go to a curfew in those areas?
Well, we've had some problems with looting, minor in North Nashville specifically. In North Nashville, a lot of residents are staying in their homes, and so that's why we're, one of the big calls that we have are for blankets and flashlights or battery-powered lanterns. A lot of people want to stay in their homes for that reason. They want to make sure that they're protecting their belongings, even individuals with damage. One of the big things we want to get their homes protected, secured, and covered to protect that damage. As for the lighting, Pat, you have to drive around with your bright lights on in the evenings just to get to your home.
Yeah, and to that point,
yeah.
I mean, we had somebody around the corner from us that was burglarized just the other night, and it's a new neighbor, and you know, it follows. He's had a series of unfortunate events, and it's a tough welcome to the neighborhood to go through all this. Fortunately, and I'm interested in your experience, that has not been widespread, right? The number of property crimes, the amount of looting, it's not zero, but it's also not just causing a state of panic.
In terms of the siren system, did it work about as well as it could in this particular situation? A lot of people said they heard the warning or got the warning and it was suddenly on top of it. Is that just the way things worked out?
Yeah, well, I can replay. I was awake at the time, and the sirens came, and before I could get my family to our safe place, the tornado was here. And the sirens worked. It didn't give us a ton of time, but it gave us some time.
And so the problem is we have the sirens still going on countywide whenever there's something going on. And that helped to some extent because the tornado went all across the county in some ways. But there's also been so many tornado warnings over the years, and that's been going off and nothing happens, or it's happening someplace else in the county.
Right.
So we've taken some action on council, and I'm credit to Councilmember Rosenberg for taking some leadership on this. For years, I wondered about that, and I had spent time and energy on social media kind of explaining the process, and we got elected last term, and I was glad to partner with Councilmember Rosenberg to try to move us to a more contemporary system that allows the shape of a storm path to inform how those sirens go off, so that if you get a tornado warning in Leapers Fork and Franklin and rides along the southern edge of the county, that sirens are not going off in Jolton
But in
and
some
White
cases,
Creek.
when it happens like that, where it came down at John Tune, it's on top of you before you had a chance to do much of anything.
That's right,
Yeah.
but the weather, I mean, again, here, I think if you looked at, had we had that siren system in effect, you probably would not have seen sirens in Creve Hall going off while that happened. And so you want to get to the place, to your point, where all of the warning mechanisms are in place, using the best real-time data available so that people take it seriously, right? Because that is the thing you don't want to have is, oh, haha, there goes the siren again. You want to be, the siren is going off, get somewhere safe right now.
Councilman Freddie O'Connell is our guest, along with Brandon Taylor, also a Metro Council member. We're talking about the aftermath and recovery of the tornadoes that ripped across Middle Tennessee and across Nashville. Back to continue our conversation after these messages.